morning. Welcome, everyone, to the streets of Baltimore, day first, joined by Nick Yeoman on the IMS Radio Network booth and IndyCar.com, and for that matter, the public address system here on the streets of Baltimore. And Nick, yesterday was pretty interesting with the waiting and the final touches that we had to put on this 2-mile layout. But all the guys, I think, afterwards, they all said one thing about this track: it's a lot of fun.
Well, and it's very bumpy. A lot of drivers talking about how needing the mouth guards and having to, no time to really breathe around this track. You're really on it, no time to let up. And here we are, 8 a.m. early on Saturday morning, and after the delays and yesterday everything being pushed back and rescheduled, it looked like we were geared up to get going here at 8 o'clock, a little delayed to get this practice session underway. But yeah, these drivers say it is an absolute blast attacking the streets of Baltimore, and that's really what you have to do. A lot of portions on this racetrack that you really have to attack. We saw some issues yesterday in the Eyes Out IndyCar Series practice. A couple big names at that. Scott Dixon had problems and got into the wall in turn 9. We saw Ryan Briscoe clip pretty hard one of the chicanes in turn 5 and tear his car up. Didn't really have any issues as far as tearing cars up in the Firestone Indy Lights, but yeah, this is a very aggressive Baltimore street course that these guys are really getting after this morning.
Toronto is kind of the gold standard as far as bumpy tracks go, and I think everyone, when they climbed out of the cockpit yesterday, said, wait a minute, now this is the gold standard, because you've got it's a layout where between turns 11 and 4, it's a huge patch of concrete. Then after you go through turn 4, it changes to asphalt, much smoother through the asphalt portion of the track. Once you hit that concrete, it is a little bumpy through the chicane coming out of turn 12, then the start-finish line, and then they get a hard right into turn 1. I had the opportunity to talk to Brian Barnhart, the president of competition for the Eyes Out IndyCar Series this morning, and I asked him, okay, how many drivers came up to you after practice? What were they saying? What was the review? And he said, actually, a couple interesting things. He said that the chicane that is located right before the light rail crossing, most of the guys said that was actually pretty smooth. They were expecting a lot more bumps through there. They didn't really complain about that at all. What they did kind of have a problem with is that a lot of the drivers yesterday were having problems finding turn 1 because of the signage, the walls the way they are. A lot of guys just drove it too deep into turn 1, missed turn 1 all completely, had to go into the runoff area. The guys right behind them did the same thing because they're just following the guy in front of them.
Yeah, Mike King and I walked the course, I think it was Thursday afternoon, and obviously they were still setting things up and still getting this track ready. But it is very narrow heading into turn 1. I believe there's like a National Guard walkover bridge. I don't think they have like a 3-2-1 braking markers up against the catch fence. So yeah, it is a very tricky turn number 1, and that's ultimately probably your best passing opportunity, your best braking zone on this racetrack. And yeah, a lot of drivers were saying, boy, we got to work on turn 1. It's very narrow. Here's the thing. I mean, if you're going to outbrake somebody, you're going to have to be right up alongside of them to take that corner, because turn 1 and a lot of corners around this Baltimore street course, very narrow.
It's about a 120-degree turn to the right through turn 1. And Brian's, I guess the way to resolve this, he thought, was to change some of the coloring, just to have the drivers differentiate a little bit better where turn 1 is on this track. But turn 1's a great passing point, passing zone of this track. Turn 3, the hairpin turn that you head back north on this 2-mile layout, that is a good passing area. Turn 4 is very, very tight left-handers. You see one of the cars go through it right now. Very tight through turn 4. And then we have the turn in turn 5. It's a little quick left-right combination that's got, Ryan Briscoe got caught up in yesterday. And that's an area that apparently the FIA has taken a look at. They said, you know what, there's actually a curbing right before turn 5 that is there to help slow the cars down. That is mandated by FIA to slow them down a little bit, make it safer through turn 5. And that's something Brian Barnhart said, I don't think we can do anything about, because the FIA has stepped in and said, hey, we need that there.
Well, there's really not, and it's something, I mean, hey, drivers are going to have to deal with it. You're going to have difficult and challenging corners on just about every street course you go to. And this one, Ryan Briscoe, I mean, he was very...
He really walloped.
He really was. Yeah. I mean, he said it was ridiculous, kind of a stupid corner. Said he had to take it at 70% yesterday. So, you know, it's a dangerous corner. You're not going to want to go side by side there. But at the same time, Dave, every corner can't be easy. You got to be challenged a little bit here or there.
If you ask the drivers, they want everything to be easy.
I would say Ryan would probably disagree with that.
What the heck? Yeah, exactly. I'm kind of curious to see what Connor Daly is going to be able to do this weekend. You know, here's a guy that has had 12 races overseas in GP3, visiting some of the classic road courses that are available overseas in Catalunya, Valencia, Silverstone. He had a best finish of 5th at Spa this summer. 4 top 10s in the last 7 races. They're at Monza next weekend. I mean, here's a guy that is kind of dabbling both in the Formula One ranks to see where maybe his career fits in over there, but also keeping his options open here in the United States. Of course, Connor's the son of one of the racing legends at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and IndyCar racing for that matter, Derek Daly, who was a 1977 British F3 champion. So interesting to see what Connor is able to do. Just 19 years old, still lives in Indiana whenever he's not in Europe.
Always got to keep those options open for drivers. When you're young, you got to take every opportunity you can. Connor currently 7th on the speed charts, about a full second behind his teammate Esteban Guerrieri as we enter here the final seconds of this second practice session for the Firestone Indy Lights.
Last few seconds, and Victor Carbone is back out there improving his time right now, just a tick or so, a minute 29.7 for Victor Carbone in the number 3 machine for Sam Schmidt Motorsports as the checkers come out at the timing line just located outside of turn 4. And several guys completing their final flyer laps. Their last chance to dial things in before qualifying later this morning at 11 o'clock Eastern time. And of course, you can hear it live here at IndyCar.com, or for that matter, if you're here at the public address system as well here at on the streets of Baltimore. And Connor Daly, the aforementioned Connor Daly, now jumping up to the fastest P1 right now at a minute 26.9 as we get into the minute 26 range now. So Connor Daly in the 77, the quickest. His teammate Esteban Guerrieri, second quick. Peter Dempsey, third quick.